Welcome to Screams and Streams, the podcast that looks at the best and worst horror movies as rated on Rotten Tomatoes from 1970 onwards. I'm your host, Chad Campbell, and with me is my co-host,
Mike Karen,
and our guest,
Sam Schreiner.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram. Our handle is @ScreamStreamPod. Also, check out our website at screamsandstreams.com for more information about all the films we are looking at. Just a warning, if you don't like spoilers, we recommend that you stop listening now, check out the film, and then rejoin us for our discussion. Today, we are looking at Sam Raimi's 1981 film Evil Dead. It scored 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and we're just going to get into it. So, Sam, can you give us our plot summary?
5 college students take time off to spend a peaceful vacation in a remote cabin. A book and audio tape are discovered, and its evil is found to be powerful once the incantations are read out loud. The friends find themselves helpless to stop the evil as it takes them one by one.
Nice.
Ooh. So, we have a new category that we're introducing today. It is called Sinister Sips. This is a cocktail that we've decided to join with our movie. So we're going to take a sip of the Sour of the Dead from Martini Shots on YouTube. So here we go.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, it's sour.
I don't know if I forgot the lemon juice in mine.
Really?
I got lemon in mine. Mine has lemon for sure.
I can taste lemon. Not so sour for you guys?
Not so sour for me.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's tasty, yeah. But I find it sour.
What all goes in it besides the lemon?
This is dark rum, coffee liqueur, amaretto, simple syrup, egg white, lemon juice.
I like it. It's good. Definitely Sour of the Dead.
Okay, and moving on, we're going to give our first impressions of this film. Mike, you're going to start with your first impressions of Evil Dead.
All right. Thank you. This is my second time watching this film from the Evil Dead series. And it's kind of funny, like my introduction to the world of Sam Raimi and Ash and the Evil Dead or the Deadites started with Army of Darkness when I was in junior high. And then I went back and watched Evil Dead 2 first because it was the only one that I could find at the video store.
Right.
And then I finally, a couple of years after that, I was able to find Evil Dead when I was working at Casablanca Video in Calgary here. And I got confused because at first I'm like, wait, this is the same movie, but not as good. I enjoyed it. I think I watched them almost in the wrong order because I started with the best and then worked my way down through the films. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the story. I like a cabin horror movie or a trapped horror movie. So I thought this one did really good. It is definitely, you can tell, like a very independent film. Mm-hmm. And I was reading one thing. I'm not bringing this up in research, but there was this thing about how like Sam Raimi invented all of these special shots and like the shaky cam.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a justification for the fact that they couldn't afford a steady cam.
Oh, it made me feel nauseous.
Just had a guy running with them.
Yeah. Overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it back then. It's just, anybody that hasn't seen this trilogy should start with 1, 2, then Army of Darkness.
Right. Okay, Sam, you're going to give us our next first impressions. This is the first time you've seen this film, correct?
Yep. I just watched it a couple days ago for the very first time. I know a lot about the movie franchise. I think everything I've heard about the movies are more so to do with the chainsaw hand from Evil Dead 2. So I was very disappointed because I didn't realize that wasn't making an appearance in this one. But overall, I enjoyed it. The shaky camera, that's so funny with the justification for that. It actually made me feel nauseous. In the opening scene, I was like, oh God, please don't let it be like this the entire way through. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I do like a cabin in the woods, the remoteness. It was definitely kind of creepy. So I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on both of your comments. I enjoyed this film. I started also with Army of Darkness. Loved that film. And then actually went to this one. I didn't see the second one right after. I waited till later to watch that one, but I thought this movie was funny. Yep. It's ridiculous in the gore. Yeah. Just over the top.
So over the top, but it goes from like 0 gore to like 1,000%.
All at once.
All of it.
The
Brain
last
splatter,
10 minutes
everything.
Of this film, I even put, there is so much blood in this. So I really like that. The taunting demon in the cellar is like, oh, why don't you love me? And all that I thought was super funny. And it's just littered with tropes, which we'll get into. It's all over the place, but I did really enjoy the film. I have seen this film I think this was the 4th time I've watched it. So it wasn't a surprise to me. But yeah, it's funny. I'll get into one of the in the later categories, I still jumped at certain parts of this film. With that, we are going to get into our Tropes Hall of Shame, and I'm going to start that up with my first two. My first one is a creepy bridge going to the cabin.
Yep.
They're driving around. My favorite of this is when he says, "Oh, this bridge is super sturdy," and then he opens the door and he looks down and the camera has a low angle shot as his face, and he's just, "Oh my God." And parts of the bridge are falling into the river and he's just shocked. So, I mean, the creepy bridge, and then it gets destroyed so they can't get out of there. Yeah. My other one was the cellar opens on its own, so let's go check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in this creepy cabin in the woods. There's a chain around this cellar door, and then it just flies open and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" And they all go over there to check it out. It's just ridiculous. So those were my first two. Next, we'll go to Sam. What were your tropes in this film?
Just the isolated cabin in the woods that you can't escape from.
Right.
So it's so funny when they talk about it too. They're like, "Oh, it was really cheap," and we never saw any photos of it.
Yes.
It's like, okay,
why did we get it so cheap? Yeah.
And then with the bridge too, it's like, I don't know how much a car weighs. I don't know, but when it says like, "Don't go on this," it's like, I think it said 3 tons. But I was like, no, it should be sturdy enough. And then you see it and you're like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then another one I had was the weird storm that came about, but for like only a minute. Like there was like lightning, but no rain, and I think some thunder, and that was it. And then there was no more storm after that.
Is that when the tree went through the window?
Yeah. And we're like, okay. And then there's no storm after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first one is something we've pointed out many times, but it is the squealing tires while driving.
Oh, yeah.
They're on a dirt road and it still squeals as they go around that corner.
Yeah.
And that was like the most unnecessarily erratic driving. And that whole like almost car crash scene where she's like screaming in the window. And it's like,
yeah. And I wish you could really see. She just throws her arms up. It's a cutaway scene of just her screaming. Yeah.
It's so dramatic. And then they just go about their day. They like almost actually die.
Yeah.
And they're like, doo.
Yeah, no problem.
The wheel just turned.
And then my next one was the unfinished basement with a creepy door or storage room.
Right.
I've never had this opportunity in my life, but if I ever started to go down to a basement and it's like dirt floor and kind of that rocky brick wall,
yep,
I'm turning around and going back out.
For sure.
Nothing good's coming out of
Absolutely.
Especially if the door opens on its own.
By itself.
Yeah.
And it has a chain on the outside, doesn't it? I mean, there's a reason.
Yeah. Back to mine. I had a couple. It's the, you approach something, it builds the tension, and then it's just the friend. It's not the demon that's there. So there's a couple of times where he's trying to drive the first woman out. Yeah. She says, "I'm not staying here." And I love how they're just ready to abandon her too. Yeah. She goes through this horrible experience and is just, "I'm not going to stay here one more minute. This is crazy." Listen to yourself. That's another one. Nobody believes her.
Right.
But also like, would you, like, I'm just saying, we always believe, like, let's always believe the victim. Okay. But if the victim comes in and is like, the trees attacked me in this manner. Yeah,
well, and her
I would also be like, okay.
But she is disheveled and
pretty beat up.
Yeah, oh, she is. Yeah,
she didn't come in looking the way she left. Like, the trees got me. Okay, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I know, but like, so yeah, I don't know. She looks like she might have fallen down a hill or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was a bit extreme.
Yeah, there was that. So he takes her out, and then she goes up to the bridge and sees it's all wrecked, and then she comes back to the car, and then he comes out from the side of the bushes and then scares her. And I'm like, what's he doing over that way? The bridge was clearly ahead of the car. Why is he out in the bushes?
You had to go to the bathroom, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought, maybe.
Sneak out to the trees.
And then there's a scene where she hears this creepiness outside, and then she goes outside just in her robe and her jammies.
Yeah.
And she's,
Jim Jams.
"Is somebody out here?" And it's, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So those were my other two. Sam, did you have any others?
I can't remember what it's called, but we see it often in horror movies where like the cabin is super small on the outside. I don't know if you guys know the name for it. The cabin was super small on the outside. Like it looked like it was like a 10 foot by 10 foot. Yeah. And you go in and there's like rooms everywhere. Like when she was drawing the clock, and then I'm like, how is no one seeing this? Because I didn't realize like when you open the door, there's all these different rooms. I thought they were just like right next. I was like, how are 5 people going to sleep in this room?
Yeah.
Well, and then just on the clock thing, the clock I thought was in a separate back room, but later on when they're fighting, it's in the same room as like the fireplace, the cellar door and everything. It's just, and it looks like a grandfather clock when she's drawing it, and it's just a clock,
just a little
on the
wall clock. Yeah. And it's got a chime like a grandfather clock too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I also said like the car not starting when they're trying to escape. So of course I was like, okay. Not only is the bridge probably going to be gone because we don't know at that point, but then also now the car doesn't start. Okay.
Yeah. And Mike?
I had the cursed object from excavated ruins.
Always a good one.
Yeah. The number of red flags.
I know.
And it's made of flesh.
Yeah.
Like I was like, ew.
And no one blinked at that.
No.
Right? Like with the cover made of flesh, like, okay.
Keep reading it.
Yeah. One of the things I even had that note, I said, they really hit you hard with the red flags out of the gate. The creepy bridge, the creepy cabin, the cellar opens on its own, the Book of the Dead made of human flesh, and a tape recorder with weird incantations. And we're all just going to stay the night. Did you have any others, Mike?
I just want to say the term that Sam was looking for, I just looked it up, is dimensional transcendence.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like the TARDIS effect or something like Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, that's totally what that's what it reminds me of, is the TARDIS effect, but good to know.
I just thought it was magic, like in Harry Potter, where the tent is so much smaller and they walk in and there's like a mansion in there.
I actually had a couple more.
Okay, go ahead.
The creepy, I don't even know what room it was. It was like attached to the house, I think, but it was like, I called it the creepy butcher room.
Oh,
that
with
had
all the dead animals and
all
stuff?
the like taxidermy.
Oh, yeah, it was like
and
a shed or something.
Yeah, but it was like, it seemed to be like right next door, but it reminded me a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I thought the same thing.
So it had all the shit dangling from the ceiling and everything, and then it had all the bones and like what looked like potatoes at one point too.
And the rusty blades, it had a bunch of rusty saw blades, like circular saw blades, not, hand
saws or
bone saws or anything, but
And then I also said, and then kind of along the same lines as the car not starting is when you're being chased and not able to put the key in the lock. You're fumbling with the keys and trying to go through.
Right. Good one.
So that was one as well.
I love the Dungeon Master key too, like the big key ring that gets caught in the wood plank that it's hiding on.
Yeah. And even when they like pulled up to the cabin, I was like, why is there even a key to get into this? Like, why do you need a key? Like, no one is coming up that bridge. No one's going there. It's super isolated. So
the other thing is all the windows are boarded up, but when they get inside, they're all open.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were open before they got in.
Yeah. When the tree falls and breaks the windows, but they're all boarded up. I didn't.
I like that instead of going outside to close the shutters again, it's like he just pulls the blind down.
Yeah. I'm just going to close this up. Yeah.
They did not care at all that the windows were. I would be mortified if I was in a rental and the window broke. I'd be like, oh my gosh. But they were like, no, and just pulled down the blinds.
Yeah.
Well, and that bench is knocking against the cabin and then it just stops.
Yeah.
And they're, all right, cool.
Let's go in. Let's go make supper.
I had one more, which was when Cheryl's running through the woods. I mean, how many times does she trip?
Yeah.
She's running half naked and she's falling down every other step. Mm-hmm. So you see that in every horror movie in the woods.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're going to go into our one-liners. Sam, you're going to kick us off with that one.
So Scotty, who everyone knows as Scotty, he's kind of hockey bro type vibes a little bit. I hope the audience receives that the right way. But he pulls out, I think it was like the book, I think it was, and he goes, this kind of looks like your old girlfriend. I thought that was kind of a funny one, but it just kind of matched his personality through the whole thing. He just seems kind of like, I kind of think he should have been the survivor of the whole thing, which I think I'll get into a little bit later. But
Right. Mike, did you have a few?
I had one. I wrote it down and I was like, did I miss something? I don't know. But it's Scotty again, like, it barks in the cellar. And he kept saying it over and over again to Cheryl.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why is he saying that? Like, because I think they saw the cellar and like they knew it was creepy. And then he just kept like creeping out the women. But I just thought that was a great line. It barks in the cellar.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. Do you have another one?
I do. I liked when Cheryl comes back in and she's disheveled and she's been attacked and they're like, did something in the woods do this to you? And she's like, no, it was the woods themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And I was just like, such a formal way of saying it. Like,
yeah. I had a couple. Once again, I had Scotty where they're
so good.
He's checked out. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around here. And he says, well, she can't travel with her ankle like that. And he just fires back to us. Well, she's your girlfriend. You take care of her.
See you later.
He's like, mine's already dead, so I'm gone.
I have no vested interest anymore.
Yeah. And then I had another one where the demon was talking to Ash. She's in the cellar and she's like, kill her if you can, lover boy. I thought that one was really good. So yeah, those were my two. Did you have any others?
I have a few more. My next one, it ties on to yours pretty good because it's the demons talking again. It's like, you have pretty skin. Give it to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
That was good. And then two are just some bad, just the line delivery was so bad, but like her eyes, for God's sake, what happened to her eyes?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Towards the end, like, you bastards, why are you torturing me like this? Why?
Yeah, there's some classic line delivery in this film for sure. I just had one more. It's tied to the song that his girlfriend sings. So Linda's sitting there with her eyes white and just,
oh God.
And then she goes, we're going to get you. And then she starts singing that eerie song. And so I thought that was super creepy. That's the only one I really have. There's a lot more quotable stuff in Army of Darkness with Ash, but with this one, he's kind of afraid a lot, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't really start to take over until pretty much everybody else is dead. So,
well, that's why I thought maybe Scotty would be the better survivor, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's willing to, do whatever it takes to get out of there, right? Yeah.
And that's I think why I like the other movies more is because it has more of that Ash humor and sort of that suave delivery of lines. And
yeah, here, I don't think they know who Ash is as a character yet. I think they're just kind of experimenting. And so you actually see, it's funny that we say we thought Scotty should have survived because there are elements of Scotty in Ash's other characters, like in Army of Darkness. And there's that cockiness and that, hey, bro, I'm gonna get you. This is my boomstick, like stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because you definitely don't get that. I felt a lot of the characters were pretty flat. In the movie, and Ash included. So I was really surprised.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, we're going to move on to what doesn't hold up. I'm going to start that off with the acting.
Yep.
Like you said, Sam, the characters are kind of flat. I think there's a lot of overacting in this, a lot of, cheesy 80s screams.
Oh God, so many screams.
And it's just so over the top. It does add to the overall humor of the film.
Yeah.
But it also does, I think, take away a little bit because just some of the scenes you mentioned with the car accident, that scream is just horrible. The punching is just so theater punching.
Yeah.
The big haymakers that he's slapping Linda with, and it's... but also adds to the comedy because he's just hauling off on her. And when he's hitting her with the big beam, oh my gosh. Like there's just so much in this movie that the acting is just over the top. So that was mine. Mike, did you have one?
The first one I wrote down is something that Sam's already alluded to, but it's the opening tracking shot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, I was car sick. Watching it on a 65-inch TV, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. I couldn't imagine seeing it in a theater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Sam, did you have one?
Yeah, I kind of said the claymation at the end. I know this might be a hot topic because I was reading some Reddits and they were definitely saying that they loved the claymation. So I was like, oh, maybe this was really new and I'm looking at it too far in the future, like coming in in 2024, looking at it. But then I looked at claymation. They started doing claymation in 1908 and stop motion in 1898.
Yes.
So it's been around for a long time. So it's not like this was new and innovative. And they went from like the super gory to like this claymation kind of breakdown. So I was like, it was kind of cheesy. Like I was like, what is this? Yeah.
I'll jump in on that with my next, because that was one of mine as well, is the claymation and the stop motion when her ankle gets infected and it just kind of, the stop motion on that, just and you see it slowly kind of move through her body. It's just kind of laughable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, and then I said the makeup with the demon, especially the one in the cellar. Is it Cheryl that gets locked in the cellar? At first, when she gets possessed and she says, "You're all gonna die," and she's floating in the air and screaming and stuff. Then she goes down in the cellar, gets locked in the cellar, and she looks like an old woman.
Yeah.
And she's got the curly white hair, and I didn't understand that change so drastically.
And I even put like they all now look like Einstein after the possession. Like they all have like crazy Einstein hair.
And they have the white eyes and they're just, and they just, it's, just crazy. So I didn't think it really stood the test of time. That's for sure. Mike, did you have another one?
Mine is also on the effects and it's the puppeteering.
Oh, yes.
And when he's trying to get Cheryl into the cellar,
beating her in the face with
with the pillar. It just clearly becomes a puppet at one point, and it's noticeably bad.
Yeah. You see the outline that it's just the head and it's just coming forward.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. Sam, did you have any others?
Just the furniture craftsmanship. There was a lot of bookshelves that died in this film. Every time someone got, and they looked so flimsy. And then I think it was Scotty. It was Ash. He was under one of them, and it was like he couldn't get up, but it looked like one. Like it was like the most like the lightest bookshelf ever, and it was all broken. I was like, why can't you get up? Like, come on.
Yeah, he looked like a professional wrestler overselling a move.
Yeah.
He's just trying to crawl, and he's stuck under this one little shelf.
It's like one 2x4.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
I had one more, and it was the audio effects. Or the sound effects where he's chaining Linda to the table and he puts the clasp in and it goes like that.
Yeah.
Then he puts the hook in and goes, it's the same sound effect. And then he loads the gun and he closes it and it goes, it's the exact same sound effect for that as well. And then there's a scene where Scotty and Ash are talking about, I believe it's when they're talking about leaving, but it sounds like they recorded it in a tunnel. It's just very off, like echoey. So that really didn't hold up. My next one were sections of the audio just didn't match.
I actually liked the of the clasp. There was a rhythm to that.
Right.
Like I wouldn't say like I liked the sound, but I just liked that like dragging of the chain, the click, dragging of the chain,
right.
The click. There was just something to that rhythm I liked, but it was weird.
All right. We're going to go into our next category, most gratuitous scene. Mike, you're going to start us off with this one. What was most gratuitous scene for you in this film?
My first one is just the close-ups on their eyes. Like the number of eye reaction shots in this film is just bonkers.
Yeah.
There's just so many. It's just constantly Ash's eyes, Linda's eyes, Cheryl's eyes, Scotty's eyes. Like, okay, like they're shocked and scared. It's enough.
I kind of liked the eyes a little bit, not the shocked eyes, but in the beginning when Ash and Linda, when he has the necklace for her, and then they play into that when he's digging the hole. I think he's digging a hole to bury her. And they're doing it again, but she's pretending this time. So they kind of switched roles in that. So she's pretending. So we see her eyes closing every time he's looking. And I kind of liked that it linked back that way. It was pretty playful. I liked it.
Yeah.
My most gratuitous scene was the Woods sexually assaulting Cheryl.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot.
It was a little much.
Yeah.
And I know it's one of the reasons why it was a controversial movie. But yeah, when you rewatch that, I don't know if it was really needed, especially when that
final trunk
goes in. I was, what the hell?
Yeah, it was wild.
So, yeah, it was a little too disturbing for me at that point. So that was my first one. Sam, did you have one?
Well, on that, so I had the tree scene was my number one. That was crazy. And I thought somewhere, so like I said, I don't know a lot about the Evil Dead franchise coming into this. And I didn't really realize how they became like the undead kind of zombie type things. Deadites is what they're called. So I thought maybe she was going to like give birth to something is what I thought they were going. But, so I was like, maybe this goes somewhere, but it doesn't. It's just so unnecessarily violent. And there's no need for it really.
Yeah.
And then I also had the laughing. I know we kind of talked about this before. It was the laughing.
Yeah.
And she wasn't like a chipper person anyways, like prior. Like, so she was, like I said, we talked about how the characters were all pretty flat. So I didn't really see how that came out of her when she became a Deadite.
Yeah.
And of course the screaming that we talked about as well. Linda screams a lot.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you have any other ones, Mike?
The pencil to the heel.
Yep. I had that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. When Demon Cheryl attacks with the pencil and just stabs it in and all that. Like the effect was not great, but it was a good one.
Yeah. It lingers, right?
Yeah.
She wiggles it around and she like takes her time with it. It's just, it's crazy that they let it happen for that long. Like Ash and Scotty and everybody watching this were just letting the stab happen and she just wiggling it around in her ankle and nobody moves to help her. Yeah. I also had where I think it's Scotty's girlfriend, they chop at her hand and then she eats it off. She starts to chew on it and then it falls and then grabs the dagger and then doesn't it ultimately stab her? That her hand is the thing that gets her in the back.
Well, or he pushes her onto the
right. Yeah. So anyways, that was crazy over the top where she's just gnawing off her hand.
Yeah, I had that one too.
At first I thought it was someone else's hand. So I was like, oh, that makes sense, but it's her own. It was wild.
I know. I was like, why are you?
Yeah, she's partially cut. She may as well finish the job and eat it off. Yeah,
it's pretty gross. Sam, did you have another one?
Yeah, just one more. Pretty minor, and it could maybe go into a trope as well, but the amount of fog that was going on, I was like, there's no way there's that much fog. There was no rain either, that I could see. And like, I camp a lot. I don't see that amount of fog anywhere.
No.
Ever.
No.
Or that it wisps in like it does throughout the movie, right? Yeah. It's always just kind of around. I actually had that in my trope and didn't mention it because we've mentioned fog in our other films quite a bit. And this one just there's some aggressive fog going on.
It's a lot of fog.
Mike, did you have any others?
We've kind of already talked about it, but it sort of starts with Ash using the axe on the demon and the amount of blood.
Oh, yeah.
And then just from that point on, it's just blood and guts and like the melting of the deadite. It was great.
Is it Ash or Scotty? When Scotty grabs the axe and starts hacking up his girlfriend, I thought
right. Yes. Yeah.
Because the blood goes everywhere when because Ash is sitting there scared in the corner and he says, do something, hit her. And then he won't. And so he grabs it and just hauls off on her and chops her all up. Yeah.
I think I made a comment. I was like, oh, he does not like her.
No,
he was ready to end it, I think. I was like, he's got some pent up rage there. Because it's a lot. Like, it's a lot. I have that in my note.
Yeah, he just keeps swinging and the blood keeps flowing. And I think you're right. After that, it just goes from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go into our next one, terrifying or titillating. Mine is when they're getting ready for bed. This could also be maybe a trope as well. They just have nudity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was mine as well.
They just pan across, and Scotty and his girlfriend's room is all red.
Yeah.
It's just, and they pan across, and she's just taking her shirt off, getting ready for bed, and they just have to have in every 80s film some shot of boobs. Some boobs in the shot. Yeah. So that was mine. And then Mike, did you have one?
What I loved about the tracking shot with the nudity through the window is we get that first room where clearly they're about to get down, and then it goes to the next window, and she's wearing pajamas and a robe, and she just like cinches it up even more. Like, that's two very different personalities with these women. And
she's the only one without a boyfriend.
Yeah.
She's like the third wheel kind of.
Yeah, the fifth wheel. Thing. I had that kind of in my tropes as well.
Fifth wheel. Yeah.
Counting's hard.
Wow.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I really liked that scene as well with the shots going through. I had to note on that I really liked that.
Okay, so then what stood the test of time for us? Sam, you're going to kick us off with this one.
The camera angles, not the shaky cam, but overall the camera angles. And I wrote a couple down here. I really liked the clock ticking and then the camera being behind the clock.
Yep.
I love that. I loved the trapdoor. It was a bit cheesy and you can tell it wasn't quite right, but when they're looking down into the cellar after it opens and you see their heads popping in and then you see the look up from the other way. I loved that.
Yeah, that's a great shot. Yeah.
I know, Mike, you didn't love the eye scenes, but I really liked that they played on that playfulness between Ash and Linda at the beginning and then at the end when she was a deadite. The other scene that I really loved was when Ash was about to drive Cheryl back and they're standing. It was the one when they drive up to the bridge and Cheryl's still in the car and then she gets out and Ash comes out and scares her. But the scene where they're in front of the headlights there, I really liked what they did there as well.
Mike, did you have any?
My first one was just, and at first I thought it was like, oh, he's just drinking from a mason jar when he's driving.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it was just like, oh, like he's the original hipster.
Yeah.
But then in my research, I found out that it's actually moonshine that he's drinking.
I thought it was moonshine.
Yeah.
Because usually anytime anybody drinks from a mason jar, I just assume it's moonshine.
Yeah. So, and they cut out a few scenes. That's why they cut to Bruce Campbell and he's got that like look on his face.
Right.
It's because that's him after having sipped the moonshine and reacting to the taste.
Okay.
But
that makes more
sense. They took out the part where he drinks it and just left the reaction.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But yeah, that's my first test of time is the mason jar. My next one is the jump scare of Scotty saying boo.
Oh, yeah.
Towards the beginning.
In the cellar?
Yeah, and it scared the crap out of me. Like, it got me.
Oh.
Like,
and you knew it was coming too.
Oh, and for sure. And
I even wrote in my notes beforehand, I was like, Scotty's totally going to jump out because he's that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, he does it the next time when he's tried to escape and he's all beat up and Ash is coming back into the house and he just jumps out and he's like, they're getting For mine, I had a couple. Number one, the blood. I thought the blood still looked really, really good.
It did, yeah.
And in my research, I found out what it was made out of, but I did enjoy that, and there was tons of it. Overall, I said the movie was still spooky. I also said the jump scares, but the one that got me wasn't Scotty. It was after he buried Linda, and he reached down, I think it was to grab that ugly magnifying glass thing that he bought her.
Sweet. What are you talking about?
I thought it was a keychain when I pulled it. I was like, why is a keychain in a box like that?
Whatever it was, it's like, it's kind of cheesy, but he reached down to get it, and then her hand comes out of the grave and just grabs him, and that got me.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I made a note of that. Yeah, I think the jump scares were still really, really well done in the film. Are there any others?
I had one more.
Okay.
I really liked the bleeding house scene. So I liked the blood.
Yeah.
And there was that one part where they had the film reel going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like the contrast there, and you could see all the blood. Everything was soaked in blood. Everything was red. And I loved that. And the only scene that I didn't love the blood in was the eye popping scene. Remember when he gouges the eyeballs out? It looks almost like ketchup coming out. But that was the only one that I thought was overly cheesy. The blood I thought was really good.
Yeah. What I like about the film thing, and again, this wasn't in my research, but it was on a website that I read. When Sam Raimi said he was doing a horror film, a friend of his said, well, you've got to make sure that the blood runs down the screen. Just mean like make it as gory as possible. So that he threw in the scene of the blood literally running down the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, no
as
way.
an homage to the friend's advice and that. So
nice.
I loved it. I thought it was
No,
so
it looked
good.
really cool. Yeah, it was really well done.
I also like the demon's POV, like from looking out from the cellar.
Oh, me too.
At the action that was taking place and sort of just cramping them down. And
Yeah. So our next one, we're going to go into eerie to ear splitting. First of all, I had a couple. So my eerie one was the creepy song. I thought that was still really, really creepy. My ear splitting was the demon laugh and the voices just sometimes were a little much and just kind of got annoying. The laughing for sure. I just hated that. And at one point I made a note, I would have killed her earlier. I was so annoyed. And she's just sitting there. And then he smacks her, and then he hits her with a 2x4, and then he does all this stuff, and then he takes her to the other area, we'll call it the Chainsaw Massacre room, takes her there, straps her down, and then I just can't do it. So then he buries her whole, and it's like, well, that's not going to work, man. We've already heard you have to dismember the body. You did it to the one. I mean, equal opportunity. We got to kill everybody the same way. And he just is so conflicted, loves her so much. And the demon is obviously wicked smart because it just turns back into original Linda for that moment. But the laughing just, I am so annoyed by that. Sam, do you have any?
Yeah, I also really liked the song as well. I thought that was awesome. One sound effect I didn't like, I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but one of the Deadites, I want to say it was Cheryl, scratches someone and there's this weird noise. It's a weird sound effect that comes with it. And I was like, that doesn't really work. Like that wouldn't sound like that. And I didn't love that. So that would be my ear splitting. Yeah.
For me, I had the thumping on the drive up to the cabin. It ends up being just the swing hitting the wall. Boom. But it is this ominous just rhythm. It's almost a heartbeat, but not quite. And so it's like, just then there's part of me like, is this going to be some sort of like pagan drumming? Is it part of that? Like,
interesting.
It was just a very interesting way to introduce the cabin before we even see it. And I had the laughing and the screaming as well. But my other one, I really liked the organ use in the score. Like I liked the score to the film and the music they used. There wasn't a lot of it.
No, and I made a note of that too. A lot of the action scenes were just sound effects and them fighting. There wasn't a lot of music in it.
But I wonder if it's because there was so much like scream, laughter, demon noise.
Right.
They're like, we can't put another layer into this.
So now our next category is what the fuck moments. I'll kick this off. My what the fuck moment was when he chops off Linda's head and then it falls on him and it just spews blood into his face and just keeps going. And just, what the fuck is happening? There's so much blood. And that he uses a shovel to take her head off and her head just flies. Awesome. I love that scene so much. So that was mine. So we'll go to Sam. Can you give us your what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure if it fits into this category or not, but all I can think of through the whole time, I've said it before, is how the fuck is Ash the survivor? Like that is my whole what the fuck moment. I was like, how is he the last one standing out of all of those people? that is my what the fuck moment.
The most timid, inactive.
Yeah. He's like scared in a corner, crouched down. He refuses to kill his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my what the fuck moment.
All right. So now we're going to go into back it up. Mike, you're going to start us off.
I really like the scene when Scotty first goes down into the cellar. We've already talked about sort of that angle back up when they're looking down to see what happened to him. But I really liked also when Ash goes down and the camera does that 360 pan around just to show you like there is nobody in the basement.
Yep.
I liked it. Again, in a movie with like the shaky cam and it's very independent and kind of rough, then they do this like very interesting shot. It was kind of neat. I liked it.
Cool. Sam, did you have one?
Not really. I kind of thought that the claws coming out of the bodies, like that was worth a second look because I was like, where did that come from? So that was kind of a weird thing. So I did actually go back and rewatch it just because I was like, I must have looked at my phone for a second, but I was like, what is happening here? That would be the only one for me is just kind of how they decomposed. There was like the claymation and then the claws coming out. There was like pus everywhere. Like,
the cream corn coming out of their sleeves.
Yeah, that was so gross.
So good.
I didn't really have a back it up moment. I think I'd do the head chop scene again just because I enjoyed that scene. I thought it was kind of funny, but I'd say that would be my back it up if I had anything. Mike, did you have another one?
My last one's kind of just, it's almost like a gimme. It's too easy, but from when he goes down into the basement to get more shotgun shells.
Right.
From that moment on, right? Like I could watch that section of the film. I just thought it was so good. I wrote down like weird angles, cool shots, and great sound.
Right.
From there to the end of the film.
Our next one is hiding in the shadows. So these are things that we couldn't find a category for. Mike, did you have any of those?
One of mine is just, I did like that Scotty gets his comeuppance for not believing Cheryl.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, she's the one like, we need to get out of here. And she's freaking out. He's like, oh, you can go alone. I'm staying. And then like it reverses to him like, oh, I'm just getting the fuck out.
Yeah. I also love how nobody's going to like follow her. I guess I'll find a spot for you to stay in town.
Yeah.
And Ash is just going to drop her off and then drive back to the cabin.
In the middle of the night, too.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was his sister. I didn't know they were brother and sister at that point. So I got really confused.
Right.
And I actually had a comment. I was like, who are these people? Like, what is the relationship here between these people as they were riding in the car? And then it was like one comment was like, oh, she's your sister.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Even more confused me is like when she's calling him Ashley. I'm like, who the fuck is Ashley?
Yeah. Same. I thought the exact same thing, and then it was like Ash. I was like, oh,
yeah, there it is. So in the remade version, in the one they did in what was it, 2013, or the newer version of it, I did watch that, and they really hit home that she's the sister, the one that gets possessed first.
They must have got feedback from the first one.
Yeah, they must have been like, unclear. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was unclear in that for sure. I didn't have any real hiding in the shadow moments. The fact that Scotty does get his comeuppance is okay, but actually I did feel like when he came back and he said that it won't let us leave, it made me kind of sad. I kind of wanted him to live. I wanted him to get out.
You wanted Scotty to get out?
I did. When he finally said, I don't care, I'm leaving, I'm getting out of here. I'll find a hiking trail. However, not super smart to hike in the woods in the dead of night without a headlamp or anything. Like he's got no gear. He's just going to run out into the woods. Kind of stupid, but I was hoping that he would have lived. But then when he gets possessed and he gets his eyes gouged out, that was impressive. Although he had a perm as well when that happened. I don't know why they all had perms. It was a crazy town.
It's because, honestly, Scotty should have been the survivor. Like, honestly, it comes back to that. We're like, yeah, because he should have won. He was the one. Yeah.
He didn't care. He was like, they're not them anymore.
Yeah. He was so practical.
Yeah.
And my next one is, I wrote this down kind of prematurely, but I was like, only the women are getting possessed.
Yes.
Right. Until like the very end when they finally get Scotty. Again, because like, Scotty should have been a survivor, maybe. I don't know. But it was weird that like the first three victims are all women. The two guys are fine. And then eventually Scotty gets possessed. But I was wondering, because I hadn't seen it in so long, I'm like, are the two guys both going to survive? Yeah. Great message, Sam Raimi.
There's that scene where it's at the end. Scotty's just gotten destroyed by the forest. He comes in and he falls off the couch and falls down and he's all ripped up and stuff. And he's pulling Linda out and he's just dripping blood out of his mouth. And I thought that scene was so well done.
Yeah.
That's all gross. And you're not sure if he's dead yet or if he's just hurting.
Just tired.
Yeah, I'm just so tired. But yeah, I thought it was well done.
And it kind of took him forever to become possessed too. Like the other one seemed to go a lot quicker, and then he took forever. So why we didn't know if he was dead or not, right?
I was never clear how they got possessed. Like with Cheryl, I could understand because she was attacked by the forest. But with the other ones, I really couldn't understand why they got possessed. She just stabbed the one with a pencil and then she gets possessed. Scotty was attacked by the forest as well, but then he gets possessed.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure why. Like in every zombie movie, you get bit or you get scratched and you're possessed. Ash got scratched. Ash got beat up, but he didn't become possessed until, well, what we think is the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and with Cheryl, was it the attack in the forest that actually made her possessed? Because she got possessed. Like, remember when she was drawing before that?
Yeah, it kind of drew to her right away.
So,
right? But I don't know why.
Yeah.
And that was before they even did the incantation, wasn't it? Or was it after?
I think it was right after.
I think it was right after too. I can't remember.
But then my other note was, why was there a demon chasing through the woods and causing almost an accident on the car?
Right. If we're to believe that the incantation is what brought it out again.
Yeah.
Then why was there a negative?
And it said you woke us from our never-ending sleep or whatever it was.
Right.
But it wasn't a sleep. It was still out in the woods attacking people.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it. That was a big question for me throughout the whole film. I don't understand how these people are getting possessed.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a big
I agree.
moment for me. And also the two hillbillies at the side, I was wondering if they were waving goodbye because you're going to die, or if they were waving I don't think they were waving just to say hi.
Well, I thought they were just waving hi, and then
I assumed at the end of the film, I was like, oh, they know they're dead. So, but that could just be jumping to conclusions. So I don't know. Our next one is bonus features, where we did research on the film. Mike, you're going to kick us off with that one. Do you have any bonus features that you'd like to share?
My first one is just about the filming conditions, and I think you'll probably have a few on that one as well, Chad. But the cabin that was used for the film was where the cast and crew lodged during filming, and so there was 13 people that had to stay in that cabin all together. Many of them sharing the same room. And then the website said, sorry, this is from Carly Ray's blog, but unfortunately there was no plumbing at the cabin, so no one was able to shower. The actors felt ill when the weather became freezing, and then it got so bad they eventually burned furniture from around the cabin.
I read that as well.
in order to stay warm. Yeah. So again, one of these like 1970s, 80s films where it's just like, who cares about safety? Let's just get a movie made.
For sure. Sam, did you have any?
I read that the bones that were dangling from the ceiling in like the workshop or the creepy like butcher space that we're talking about is actually a tribute to Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, which I loved.
I had one about the blood, and it's a combination of a Caro syrup, non-dairy creamer, lots of red food coloring, and 1 drop of blue food coloring to darken it. And it says at one point, Bruce Campbell's shirt that he wears in the film was so saturated with the fake blood that after drying it by the fire, the shirt became solidified and broke when he tried to put it on.
Oh my gosh. That's great. There was a lot of blood, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and he was caked in it at the end of the film. Mike, did you have another one?
This is from an interview with Betsy Baker, who played Linda. She claimed that she was so suspicious of the producers wanting her to star in a horror film, she only met them in a public restaurant. Like, she refused to go to their offices.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, this is a very indepent film and, like, unheard of people. So it's like, hey, we want you to be in a movie. It's like, okay, but I'm only meeting in public.
Good for her.
Yeah, no doubt. Sam?
I saw through my research that because of the low budget, the contact lenses were super thick. So those white contact lenses that they wore. Oh, yeah. And they took 10 minutes to apply and could only be left on for about 15 minutes because the eyes couldn't breathe with them applied. So they kept having to take them out. So it was 10 minutes in, and then after 15 minutes had to take them out.
I do like this one, but it's kind of speaks to what they thought of audiences back then. But the original title was called Book of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
But then the film's producer, Irvin Shapiro, changed it to The Evil Dead because he was afraid that kids wouldn't want to see it if it had a library reference. And I guess one of his quotes is,
I don't want to read.
Yeah, like, no one's going to want to read for 90 minutes. Change the title.
That's so funny.
That's awesome. I had another one. I just thought this was kind of interesting because I've always wondered why Raimi has always cast Bruce Campbell in everything. Just a little bit part here or there, whether he was in Spider-Man, he was in all these other films that he's done. He always makes an appearance. And I didn't know that they were friends from high school, and they made that they had made many Super 8 films together, and they would often collaborate with Sam's brother, Ted Raimi. Campbell became the actor of the group as he was the one that the girls wanted to look at. Campbell is He's played brief parts and cameos in most of Raimi's movies ever since. And I guess to make this movie, Bruce Campbell had mortgaged his home so that they could get the money to make it.
Yeah.
I have just one more really quickly. When Ash and Scotty enter the basement, so they do that pan into the walls that you talked about before, Mike, there's actually a torn poster there for The Hills Have Eyes from 1977.
Oh, wow.
And apparently, so it's something we'll have to look for in other movies, Wes Craven and Sam Raimi, they reference each other's films in their movies. And apparently it's kind of goes back and forth.
That's
so
cool.
We'll have to look for that.
Yeah. I love when they talk about Foley effects and sound effects and that. But to get the perfect sound for the mutilated flesh, apparently they were just using like dead chickens and just stabbing dead chickens and recording that to get like sound of flesh.
This is my last one, but I thought it was kind of funny. The original script called for all the characters to be smoking marijuana when they were first listening to the tape. The actors decided to try this for real, and the entire scene had to be later reshot due to their uncontrollable behavior.
I read that they all got too high.
Yeah, that was awesome. At least they had some fun on the set. I know there is, in his autobiography, Bruce Campbell does say that filming was hell, but he was able to have some fun on the set.
Yeah.
I think you just find your moments, but yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, he broke his ribs, chipped a tooth, and I think maybe broke an ankle or a wrist or something. Like he's severely injured himself. I know he definitely like sprained his ankle, and I was reading that like Sam Raimi and the producers would poke at it with sticks constantly.
I read that too. I read that as well.
So he wouldn't heal basically, so he'd always be limping and in pain.
Oh man, filming in the 70s and 80s, eh? There's just don't have the regulations.
But I think, like, to me, it shows the friendship where they're just like, hey, buddy, boink, boink, boink.
Yeah. Oh, does that still hurt? Yeah. Rub some dirt on it. I did have one other one where it was like after completing principal photography in the winter of 79 and 80, most of the actors left the production. However, there was still much of the film to be completed. So most of the second half of the film features Bruce Campbell and various stand-ins or fake shemps to replace the actors who left.
Interesting.
So that could be why their makeup was so overdone and covered them up so that they looked so different in some shots where they didn't look as different in others. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool bit. And then that's all for me. Sam, did you have any others?
No.
I got like two small ones left.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a little kind of Easter egg, or where are they now? And this one's kind of interesting, is Joel Cohen of the Coen brothers fame was the assistant editor on this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that began a friendship with Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi helped the Coen brothers make their first film, Blood Simple, like get financing and gave a lot of advice. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And my last one is just this film was released under like an X-rated rating, and it's NC-17 now because of the amount of gore.
Right.
But Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Ukraine, West Germany, and Singapore outright banned the film upon its release. They wouldn't let it come out. England, it was released, and then a group lobbied for the UK government to ban it.
Really?
Later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they didn't.
Because of the forest scene?
I think the forest scene is a big part of it, but just the amount of blood.
Right.
Yeah, there's in some of the research, it talked about how Sam Raimi uses different colors of blood, and that's the only reason he was able to get it released the way it was, because otherwise it would have been just outright banned or rated way too high.
Yeah, he said he made it with no regard for censorship or anything. We're going to make a movie and this is what it is. So he made it and then, suffered the consequences because people were like, that's too much.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With that, we're going to go into our watchability scale. Sam, out of 10, what would you rate this?
I think I'd give it a 7, actually. So I liked it. It's a shorter movie as well. I didn't love the first half. The characters were kind of flat. I was like, okay, yeah, this Book of the Dead. The tropes, though, I really appreciated. Yeah. I thought it was funny. I thought it was well done in that regard. And I really loved the second half. Like, as soon as the gore started, I was like, oh, okay, this is what it was missing. Yeah. Because I had in my notes, I was like, where's all the blood? Like, I thought, and like I said, I hadn't seen any of the movies. I know of the video games and I know of the series, obviously, but it wasn't until I saw the blood and I was like, oh, there it is. There it is.
And it was there and there and there.
Yeah, and everywhere.
It never stopped after it started. Yeah.
So I overall, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Mike?
You know what? Just out of pure fun and enjoyment and for what it was, I think I'll agree with Sam on the 7. It's definitely not a great film.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's just entertaining. It is a tight 85-minute film. There isn't a lot of fat that you could cut out of this.
Yeah.
So it is perfect for that. It's a good sit down, quick watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think 7 is good for this.
Yeah, so we got around to 7s. I agree as well. There are problems with it, but it's still a fun show. Fun movie. There are lots of laugh out loud moments and lots of moments where you're just, okay, what is happening? But overall, just a fun ride. And I do really like the fact that it's short.
Yeah,
These 2.5 hour horror films that draw on and go forever. Just hurry up.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this film, but 7 out of 10 is where I'm going to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so thank you very much for listening to us. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at ScreamStreamPod. Stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, for more information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, and a page where you can recommend movies you want us to discuss. Please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Until next time, this has been Chad and
Mike.
And
Sam.
Scare you later.